It happened in just seconds. Without warning, a highly trained canine suddenly lunged at a man during what was supposed to be a routine patrol. Officers froze in shock. Chaos erupted. Had the dog lost control? Had he just made a terrible mistake? But only moments later, the horrifying truth was uncovered. This canine hadn't disobeyed at all. He had just stopped something unthinkable. What looked like reckless aggression turned out to be an act of pure instinct, revealing a dark secret that could have ended in tragedy. This wasn't just about a dog following commands. This was about a bond, a sense, and a loyalty stronger than reason itself. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. It's always amazing to see how far these stories can travel. Officer James Carter had been on patrol long enough to recognize the rhythm of a quiet day. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the suburban streets as he sipped his lukewarm coffee behind the wheel of his cruiser. Everything felt ordinary, predictable, the kind of shift most officers didn't mind. In the back seat, his partner Shadow, a 5-year-old German Shepherd, sat alert but calm. For 3 years, James and Shadow had worked side by side, responding to emergencies, tracking suspects, and protecting their community. Shadow wasn't just a canine, he was family. Known for his sharp instincts and flawless discipline, the dog had never once misread a situation. That's why what happened next shook James to his core. As the cruiser rolled past a narrow alley between two red brick houses, Shadow suddenly stiffened. His ears shot forward, muscles tensed, eyes locked on something James hadn't noticed yet. The officer frowned, setting down his coffee. "You smell something, boy," he muttered. Peering down the alley, James saw a man pacing nervously, glancing over his shoulder as if afraid of being followed. Nothing illegal at first glance, but something about the scene felt wrong. Shadow didn't look away. His low growl echoed in the confined space. The afternoon seemed ordinary as Officer James guided the patrol car through a quiet neighborhood. Shadows stretched across the red brick alleyways, and the only sound was the low hum of the engine. In the back seat, Shadow sat alert, his sharp eyes scanning every corner, every passerby. They had worked together for 3 years. James trusted the German Shepherd completely. Shadow was disciplined, steady, never one to act without cause. But as they turned down a narrow alley between two homes, something shifted. Shadow's ears shot forward. His body stiffened, muscles coiled like a spring. A low growl rumbled from his chest. James glanced in the rearview mirror, his brow furrowing. "You smell something, boy?" he asked, slowing the car. At the far end of the alley, a man paced nervously. His jacket was too heavy for the warm air, and his eyes darted restlessly. Nothing illegal. Not yet, but Shadow didn't waver. His gaze locked on the man with unshakable focus. James felt a twinge in his gut. He trusted that look. It wasn't restlessness, it was warning. And though he didn't know it yet, Shadow had already sensed the danger hiding in plain sight. James stepped out of the cruiser boots, crunching against the cracked pavement of the alley. His eyes narrowed on the man pacing near the wall. Something about him didn't sit right, the way he avoided eye contact, the stiffness in his shoulders, the too quick nod when James asked if everything was all right. "Just walking," the man muttered, fumbling with his wallet when asked for identification. His hands shook more than nerves should explain. From behind, a sharp bark split the air. Shadow pressed against the back door of the cruiser, his body rigid, ears locked forward, a low growl vibrating through the metal. James turned, startled. His partner never broke training, never without a reason. "Easy, boy," James said softly, though his own pulse quickened. The moment the man extended his hand with the ID, Shadow lunged. The car door burst open, and in a blur of fur and force, the German Shepherd pinned the stranger to the ground. "Shadow off." James shouted, panic seizing him, but the dog didn't bite. He held the man's steady, growling eyes burning with certainty. Only when James grabbed the suspect's arm did the truth surface. Hidden beneath the sleeve was a long, concealed blade. James froze, a chill crawling up his spine. Shadow hadn't disobeyed. He had acted first, stopping something. James hadn't seen something deadly. The rules had been broken, but in that moment, James understood his partner had just saved him. James snapped handcuffs around the man's wrists, still shaken by what had just happened. The blade lay glinting on the ground, a few feet away, a chilling reminder of how close things had come. Shadow stood guard, his ears sharp, his body tense. Every time the man shifted, the dog growled low, a steady warning that froze the suspect in place. "Who are you?" James demanded, yanking the man to his feet. The suspect said nothing. His eyes flicked nervously, lips pressed tight. Searching his pockets, James pulled out a second wallet stuffed with cash, a fake ID, and a folded photo of a young boy with wide, innocent eyes. James's stomach twisted. Before he could ask questions, dispatch crackled through his radio. "Backup en route. Stand by." James glanced at the photo again, a creeping sense of dread filling him. He passed it to the arriving sergeant moments later. The officer's face paled. "That's the kid from the Amber Alert," he whispered. "He went missing 2 days ago." The words hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, everything made sense. The man's nervousness, the blade, the fake identity. He wasn't just a threat. He was part of something far more sinister. Shadow whined softly, then tugged at the leash, pulling James towards the alley's far end. His nose worked furiously, sniffing the air with sharp urgency. James followed his chest tight. The dog stopped at a locked construction shed, pawing hard at the door. Officers forced it open. The smell hit them first, damp, musty, wrong. Flashlights cut through the darkness, sweeping across unfinished walls and stacked lumber. In the corner, huddled behind a pile of tarps, was a barefoot boy, trembling, eyes wide with terror. The same boy from the photo. Alive. James's heart pounded as he lowered his gun and rushed forward. "It's okay, son," he said, softly, crouching low. "You're safe now." The boy didn't answer. His lips quivered, his hands shook, and his eyes darted toward the dark doorway, as if afraid the man might return. But then he saw Shadow. The German Shepherd padded forward slowly, his tail wagging just enough to show gentleness. He lowered his head, letting out a quiet whine. The boy's eyes widened in recognition, almost relief. With trembling fingers, he reached out and touched Shadow's fur. For the first time, his stiff posture eased. "He trusts him," James whispered, his throat tight. "He knows." Medics rushed inside, wrapping the boy in a blanket and checking for injuries. The sergeant radioed dispatch. "Child recovered. Repeat, child recovered. Send immediate transport." As the boy was carried out, Shadow walked beside the stretcher, never leaving his side. The officers exchanged looks of awe. Without the dog's instincts, they might never have found him in time. James placed a hand on Shadow's back, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved him, partner," he murmured. "You saved us all." Outside, flashing lights lit up the night as the boy was reunited with his sobbing parents. Shadow sat calmly at James's side, his amber eyes watching quietly, not needing recognition. He had done his duty not for praise, but because it was who he was. And in that moment, Everyone knew Shadow wasn't just a canine. He was a hero. Hours later, in the dim light of the interrogation room, the suspect finally broke. His record came spilling out past charges of stalking, unlawful restraint, a trail of false identities. He had planned to disappear with the boy that very night. The cash, the fake ID, the stolen car parked nearby, every detail pointed to a carefully plotted crime. James listened, his fist clenched, but his eyes kept drifting to Shadow, who lay calmly at his feet. The dog hadn't acted out of aggression or disobedience. He had read the danger no human could see and acted without hesitation. One decisive moment had rewritten everything. When the boy was reunited with his parents, their cries of relief filled the station. They hugged Shadow too, tears falling into his thick fur. The dog accepted it silently, his tail thumping just once, as if to say the mission was complete. James knelt beside him, rubbing his ears. "You didn't break the rules, partner," he whispered. "You saved a life." And as dawn broke over the quiet streets, the world saw Shadow not just as a canine officer, but as a guardian, proof that sometimes instinct, trust, and loyalty are the strongest shields against the darkest dangers. In the weeks that followed, news of Shadow's bravery spread through the community. Headlines praised the canine who stopped a crime and saved a child. But for James, the story was far more personal. He had witnessed something no report could capture, the bond between man and dog built on trust deeper than words. The rescued boy slowly began to heal his family, forever grateful. They often visited the station, always bringing treats for Shadow, who greeted them with gentle eyes and a steady tail wag. For James, every patrol now carried a new weight. He knew that in a world filled with danger, instinct and loyalty could mean the difference between tragedy and hope. And so Shadow walked on, more than just a partner in uniform. He was a guardian, a silent hero, and a reminder that sometimes the truest courage comes on four paws. Shadow's story reminds us that true loyalty and courage are often found in the quietest companions. Just like this faithful canine, sometimes our instincts guide us to protect those we love, even when the world doesn't see the danger. For many seniors, this lesson rings deeply true. We know the value of trust earned over time, the comfort of a loyal friend, and the wisdom of listening to what the heart tells us when logic falls short. In life, whether with family, neighbors, or even the pets who share our homes, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it shows up in steadfast presence, in silent protection, in choosing love over fear. Shadow's actions remind us that no one is ever too small, too old, or too unlikely to make a difference. And perhaps that's the greatest gift, the reminder that love and loyalty can still change the world.